Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Swami.
Good morning, Gunamai. Good morning.
Good morning, Swami.
Good morning, Sudhirji. Oh, Salvi, good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Swamiji.
Good morning, Noel. Good morning, Johnsons. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Swamiji.
Good
Morning.
morning, Ujjala. Yes.
Morning, Swami. This is Steve.
Yes, Mr. Johnson. Good morning.
Morning.
And I think iPad is Rajiniji's. Rajiniji, right? Rajini Lathi iPad. Good morning. Anyway, good morning to iPad. All right. Yes. Paul and Linda have joined, trying to join. Okay. Good morning, Paul and Linda.
Good morning, Swami.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Swamiji.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. iPad, right?
Yes.
Anna too has joined. Good morning to you, Anna.
Good morning, Swamiji.
And good morning to Vidyaji. Okay.
Morning.
Beautiful lotuses, Swamiji.
Yes, you need to come. They won't last long. You have to come to see them. All right. So, what we shall do now? We shall chant. Okay, I am sharing the script. We shall chant together. We shall chant together. Okay. Let's start. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Badhitamastu Ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. All right. So, we are in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and we have seen that after introducing the subject matter of the 7th chapter, which is in fact introduction for the middle section of the entire Bhagavad Gita from chapter 7 to chapter 12, and having introduced the 7th chapter, from in first 3 verses, Sri Krishna from 4th verse onward entered into the main theme of the 7th chapter, which is also one of the central themes of the middle section of Bhagavad Gita. And the theme was Ishvara Sarupam, nature of God. What is God and what is the function of God? And we saw that Sri Krishna defined God as cause of the universe, Jagat Karanam. And as we saw, when we say that God is Jagat Karanam or cause of the universe, it means both the intelligent cause of this creation as well as the material cause of the creation. In other words, God not only created the world, but God evolved into this universe. The main idea that Sri Krishna wants to drive home is that the entire cosmos is manifestation of God. It evolved from God. Sri Krishna wants to tell us that learn to understand or try to understand that this very universe, this very creation is manifestation of the Lord. And as we saw in our last talk, that he concluded that section saying, Mai sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. What a beautiful idea. Just as the thread is inherent in the beads of the rosary, as the thread holds together all the beads of the rosary, as without the thread, the rosary cannot exist. Similarly, God is the thread which is inherent in the creation. Up to that we saw. In next 5 verses, Sri Krishna does something very important. He undertakes a project, if we say so. If we can say so, that he undertakes a project. He wants us not only to understand this fact, but he also wants that our attitude also change. Attitude depends on knowledge. So Sri Krishna wants to change our attitude towards this entire creation. If we look at creation as material only, our attitude also will be materialistic. We also would like to consume only. But if we understand the creation as manifestation of God and learn to appreciate God in everything, then our attitude would be an attitude of reverence. And of course, changing attitude takes time. Knowledge can be gathered immediately. As soon as we read these things, we get an understanding of, yes, God is such and such, God created, and also God itself evolved into this creation and present in the creation. But changing that attitude takes time. Just like eating food is immediate, but it takes time to digest and assimilate. So similarly, Sri Krishna took this project and kept two tasks before us. One is understanding the teaching that the entire creation is manifestation of God alone. Secondly, he would try now to change our attitude towards this creation. If we, in other words, divinization of the world. This is Sri Krishna's project in the next few verses and our project too. Because when the world is seen as world, it is a source of fear. It's a It's a source of disturbance to us. In Sanskrit, it is called samsara. But if the very world is seen as divine, it will be Ishvara. It will not be a cause of samsara. And that is what we find in the very first verse of the famous Isha Upanishad. Ishavasam idam sarvam. Try to look upon this entire creation as divine. Paint the world with the ink of divinity. Paint the world with the ink of divinity. So he walks us through some steps which are meant to change our attitude to the world. So as we explore these verses, next 5 verses, verse number 8 to verse number 12 of chapter 7, you also have a task to do. And the task is try to find out, is there a pattern in these verses? Or is there a point Sri Krishna is trying to make? What is the common feature of all these verses, or all the elements of the verses? Each phrase of the verses, is there a pattern? Is there something common to all of them? So be aware of that. Try to find out. And after we finish exploring these verses, I will ask you the question. That's a quiz for you. Let's start exploring verse number 8. He says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sashi suryayaha pranavaha sarva vedeshu shabda khe paurusham nishu. All these 4-5 verses are very uplifting, very elevating. First he says, Raso aham apsu. Arjuna, I am the very essence of water. Whenever you drink water, don't look upon it only water, but the very essence of water for which you are alive. Remember that rasa of water is nothing but divine. The very basic thing that makes water water. Rasa, up means water. That is know to be divine. Then Prabha Asmi Sashi Suryaha. The light, the radiance, the brilliance in the sun and the moon is divine. In fact, this brilliance or light is worshipped in the most famous Gayatri mantra, which is a prayer addressed to the light in the sun. I am worshipping that brilliance of sun, which represents God, because of which light, because of that light of consciousness alone, I am able to know everything. Sri Krishna says that effulgence in suns and moons and the stars, know them to be divine. Then he says, Pranavaha sarva vedeshu. Pranavaha means Om. Omkara, the sound Om is called Pranava. And it is considered to be the essence of all the Vedas. They say that the entire 4 Vedas can be condensed in 3 levels. First level of condensation is Gayatri Mantra. They say that chanting of the Gayatri is equivalent to chanting of the entire Vedas. Then there is such second level of condensation where Gayatri is condensed to Vyahariti, that is Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha. That is the three world, this world, another world, and the world in between these three. So these are technical terms. Vahriti, they say Gayatri further can be condensed into Vahriti, Bhu, Bhuva, Saha. And finally, the final level of condensation is Vahriti is further condensed into A, U, and Ma. Joined together becomes Om. Sri Krishna says that I am Om in the entire Veda. That is, as Om is the essence of the entire Veda, if we can condense the entire Veda with only one sound or one word, that would be Om, and know that Omkara is divine. Those who have studied Patanjali Yoga Sutras know that Patanjali says one of the means of achieving the goal of yoga, samadhi, is meditating on God, surrendering, devotional surrender to God. And in aphorism 27 of first chapter, he says, Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha. Om, Pranavaha means Om. Om is the symbol of God. Om represents God. So meditate on Om, that is meditating on God. And Sri Krishna says, same thing, I am the Om in the entire Vedas. Then, Shabdaha Khe. Kha means space, Akasha. And they say each of the 5 elements, space, air, water, fire, and air, all of the and earth, all of these 5 elements has some unique property. Each has got unique property. They say that space has the property of sound. Sri Krishna says, I am the sound principle in space. That sound principle is divine. We shall find some other reference to in a moment, where he equates another quality, the quality of fragrance, with the element of earth. We shall see that soon. Then he says, Paurusham Nishu. I am the humanness in human being. That essential nature which makes a human being, that essential nature is divine, which expresses in the form of compassion, empathy, fellow feeling, service for others, etc., and absence of which makes the world wicked, terrible, and the inhuman condition is appalling to us. Sri Krishna says that humanness in human being is divine. In the next verse, he says, Punyo gandhaha prithibhyam cha tejaha cha asmi vibhavasau jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapassishu. Another beautiful verse. Prithibhyam punyo gandhaha. The essential nature of earth element called Prithvi is its fragrance. They say that any natural fragrance can be traced to earth. Earth element has the property of fragrance. They say, for example, flower, where the fragrance of flower came from earth. The fragrance of sandal paste, where did it come from the earth. So punyogandha, all the fragrance which is essential nature of earth, that is, know that that fragrance is divine. Then tejaha chasmi vibhavaso. Teja means the heat principle. Vibhavaso means in fire. The heat principle in fire, the essential nature of fire is heat. Even the form and color may not be available all the time. For example, in hot water, there is heat, but we don't see the form of fire. Okay, so essential nature is heat. That heat in fire, know to be divine. Then, jivanam sarva bhuteshu, the very life principle, because of which a living being is a living being, know that to be divine. In this connection, I remembered one of our Swamis who passed away, Swami Tathagatananda, who was the in charge of Vedanta Society of New York for many years. So once he visited India, and at that time we were in the monastery of Belur, and he gave a talk to us. And the entire talk was this, that life itself is divine. And he was so much convinced, had so much conviction about that, he even thumped the table, that I challenge to you that I can prove, I can show you that life itself is divine. Sri Krishna says, Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu, the very life principle in every living being, know that to be, that belongs to God, that is divine. Then another interesting thing he says, Tapah chasmi tapassishu. So among human beings, there are some who are called tapassi because of their perseverance, because of their commitment, because of their grit, because of their discipline. They have accomplished something, either materially or spiritually, and benefit of which all of us get from them. So that quality of perseverance, grit, commitment, which we can say that is an austerity in itself, Sri Krishna says that austerity in austere people, that discipline in disciplined people, that know that all these are divine. Then in the next verse, he says, Bijam ma sarvabhutanam Viddhi partha sanatanam Buddhihi buddhimatam asmi Tejaha tejassi nam aham. We shall take up the second line first. He says, Buddhihi buddhimatam asmi. I am the very intelligent principle of the intelligent people. People who have got extraordinary intelligence, and that their glory is because of their intelligence, know that that intelligence is divine. That means because of the divine blessing alone, the intelligent people are enjoying their intelligence. Then, Tejaha tejassi namaham. I am the boldness, the valor in the bold people, the valorous people. Boldness stands for the capacity because of which one is able to overcome all the obstacles. That is called boldness. And know that boldness in people, that is divine, that belongs to me. So from these we can draw three corollaries which are very important, I think. First corollary is humility. That if we have got these virtues like boldness, like intelligence, like grit, then all these virtues really come from God. They are manifestation of God. Therefore, the credit does not go to me. All the credit goes to God alone. The more I appreciate that this fact, that these qualities that I am endowed with are of divine origin, they belong to God alone, the more humble I will become. So more we can appreciate the fact that these qualities that we have belong to God. They are not actually ours. The more humble we will become, which I think is very important for our growth, spiritual growth. Second corollary is, if we have this attitude that all the good things or the excellent things that I might have belong to God alone, then any honor, any award, any appreciation I might get, any popularity, any name and fame I get, I can transfer them, surrender them to God, knowing that these belong to God alone. So that is a great help in digesting the name and fame, digesting appreciation, digesting name and fame, digesting popularity is not an easy thing. And that is what we see. People who rise to fame quickly, very often, they abuse their power, or they very soon gets derailed. So as they say that your real strength is not in how much popularity or how much name and fame you have got, but it can be seen from how easily you have been able to digest them. So if we can appreciate the fact that the qualities, the name and fame, the popularity all really belong to God, and surrender all those things, knowing them that they really belong to God, it will help us to digest name and fame, which is not an easy task. Then third corollary is absence of jealousy. Because when I see glory in another person, I will never become jealous, because I will not compare that glory with mine, but I would say that, look, there is divine glory in that person. We will be in a better position to appreciate the glories, the qualities in others, instead of comparing with us that I don't have, but that person has that quality, and often leads to jealousy, which really burns us internally. But if I can appreciate the fact that the qualities, the excellence, the glory in others also belong to God alone, then the attitude will be one of appreciation in divine glory in others. No doubt, these things are not easy, much difficult than said. Okay. Easier said than done. But Sri Krishna is giving us a perspective which, if we can remember even for a while and can practice even in our modest capacity, tremendous changes can happen. One is humility on our part. We don't become egoistic. Then we can develop the capacity to digest popularity, name and fame. Third, we don't develop jealousy for others. Rather, we learn to appreciate the glories or qualities in others. Then let's come back to the first line of this verse. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam and sanatanam. I am the seed. I am the primal cause, the basic cause of the entire creation. And as we saw that God, both the two principles in God, the higher principle and the lower principle, both are uncaused cause. They are the cause of the entire universe, entire creation, but they themselves are eternal. They are causeless cause, or as we noted, God is parentless parent. God is the eternal principle from which we have come. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam sanatanam. Of the entire creation, I am the seed, and sanatanam means eternal. That is always the seed. Then I said there will be a quiz. The quiz is what we have found so far. What is the point Sri Krishna is trying to make? Okay, I know you have guessed rightly that Sri Krishna is trying to show us anything, everything, whatever is excellent, the best in the creation, the essence of everything is divine. The best of the things, the glorious things of creation is divine. Now we may ask a question. It may raise a question in our mind. When we say that the whole creation is the manifestation of Lord, then it follows that not only the wonderful things, the positive things, the glorious things are manifestation of God. Even the terrible things also should be the manifestation of God alone. But why Krishna is only saying that the excellent things, beautiful things, positive things are divine? What is the purpose of this deliberate suppression of the fact? It appears that we already find it difficult to develop devotion to God. If Sri Krishna says at the very beginning that even the negative things are also divine, we might never develop devotion. Therefore, in the initial stages, when we are learning to look at the positive side of the creation and learn to appreciate as God, Sri Krishna is only talking about the positive things so that we may grow or appreciate the divinity in good things. Once we are sufficiently mature, we shall be able to appreciate not only the positive but also the negative side of creation. We shall be able to look at the totality of the creation, which requires a lot of maturity. And once we are sufficiently mature, we shall find that the so-called negative things or so-called negative aspect of creation is also necessary. The negative and positive aspects of creation, they are complementary to each other. And that we shall find in the 11th chapter. Sri Krishna is preparing us for the 11th chapter, ultimate Vishwarupa Darshana, ultimate cosmic form of the divine, where we shall encounter the terrible aspects of the creation, terrible aspects of the world, terrible realities, and Sri Krishna would show that even the terrible aspects are divine too. That we shall see in chapter 11. Now he continues, Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kama asmi bharatashav. Very interesting verse, intriguing verse too. First line and second line contradict each other if not understood correctly. The first line, Balam Balavatam. I am the strength in the strong people. Strength is the essence of all strong people, and Sri Krishna says, that is me, that is divine. And Krishna classifies strength into two types. One is the positive strength, which is responsible for the positive effects, constructive things in the world. And the second one is negative strength, brutal strength. We may say adharmika strength, which is the cause of destruction. Krishna says, I am strength in all strong people, but that is constructive strength. What is the definition of constructive strength? Sri Krishna says, Kama Raga Vivarjitam. Strength which is not backed by selfish desires. Kama Raga Vivarjitam. When selfishness dominates, the strength becomes destructive. That is what we see around the world. People might be strong, countries might be strong, but when selfish desires, ulterior motives dominate, that same strength becomes destructive. Sri Krishna says, strength which is of positive type, which is constructive type, I am that one. Then in the first line, he said, strength backed by desire is not the strength I am. Now he's talking about only the good things, right? Let us remember. So he said strength which is desireless, which is not backed by desire. So desire backed strength is not good. Desire, selfish desire is not good. But in the second line, he says even the desire which is in people, selfish desire, that is also me. Kamo asmi bharatashabha. Is not it contradictory? So he says that as we have to understand this in this way, that as strength was of two types, so also desire is also two types. One is dharmika desire, constructive desire, such as serving others, doing our duty, which will contribute to our spiritual growth. Even desire to grow spiritually is also a desire. Howsoever constructive it might be, it is still a desire, but it is a dharmika desire. It is not a harmful desire, but there is adharmika desire which hinder my spiritual growth. Sri Krishna says, I am the noble desires in people, desires which are dharmika, dharma aviruddha kama, dharma aviruddha bhuteshu, desires which are not inimical for dharma. Know that to be divine in nature. Then the ultimate one coming now, ye chaiva satvika bhava Rajashastamasascha ye matta eveti tan vidhi natvaham teshu te mai. Krishna points out that even the internal world of your thoughts, that is also product of God alone. They also belong to you, me, bhavaha, the inner world of thoughts. Every thought that arises in your mind is product of my own apara prakriti, lower principle that we saw, that lower principle, lower nature itself evolved into entire creation, including our mind. And this lower principle, the apara prakriti, is composed of, all of us know, students of Vedanta, they say three gunas: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva stands for knowledge, serenity, joy. Rajas stands for activity, dynamism. And Tamas stands for dullness, delusion. As the thoughts are the product of apara prakriti, they also will have three gunas, because whatever is the quality of the cause, they will always be present in the effect. For example, the qualities of gold will be present in all the ornaments. So mind is a product of apara prakriti. So all the three qualities, sattva, rajas and tamas, are also present in mind. In short, the varieties of thoughts that occur in your mind, whether they are rajasic, sattvic, tamasic, even tamasic, where do they arise from? All those mental states are also known to be divine. They are also part of me. Te mai. The entire creation being a product of me is dependent on me, because the effect is always dependent upon the cause. Okay, but na tu aham teshu. This is enigmatic. But I am not dependent on them. That is, cause is not dependent on the effects. The cause can exist even without the effects. For example, if there is no ornament, still there can be gold. Only a lump of gold. When the chair is broken, still there can be wood. But the chair cannot exist without wood, or the ornament cannot exist without gold. But gold can exist without ornament. Wood can exist without being a chair. So God can exist even without the creation. That is what we saw, that at the time of dissolution, there is no visible creation, but still God exists. How? As the Abhyakta, unmanifested. And we saw that is the seed state, where the two principles of God, the Para Prakriti, the conscious principle, and Apara Prakriti, the inert principle, the higher principle, lower principle, just exist in a state of equilibrium. And that's at that state we don't have the visible creation. That is why Sri Krishna says that all the entire creation, I am in them. They are in me, but I am not dependent on them. That is the important thing to remember. So, summary of what we have learned so far in 7th chapter, which is, as we noted, important chapter. So let me summarize it. God has two principles. In Sanskrit, Para Prakriti, Apara Prakriti. The Apara Prakriti, lower principles, evolve into this creation. And the higher principle, The conscious principle is always present. It does not undergo any change, but it is all the time present. God evolves into the creation, so God is present in the entire creation. And if the entire creation is divine in nature, how to appreciate that divinity? By changing our attitude. How to change our attitude? Sri Krishna says, gives them some props, some hints. Try to see the divine in the best of the things. Essence in water, the effulgence in sun and moon, the Omkara in the entire Vedas, the sound, the humanness in human beings, the fragrance in earth, the heat in fire, the life principle in living beings, the grit in accomplished people, the intelligence in the intelligent people, the courage in the courageous, the strength in the unselfish and strong people, the noble desires, and in all the mental states, whether it is pleasant, dynamic, or even dull, learn to see, try to see that, tell yourself, affirm yourself that in whatever way, the excellent things, the excellent qualities, the best of the things in the universe, in the creation, are divine in nature. And if we can appreciate the divine in the best of the things, there will be four things, four results. One, reverence, a sense of reverence, a sense of awe for the entire creation, a sense of sacredness, which is so much missing. We have made our world to be a sterile place. So reverence, a sense of sacredness with which we can appreciate the entire creation. Then, number two, we learn to become humble for our qualities. The qualities that I might have, the talent that I have, all belong to God alone. That makes us humble. Then, for our talents, for our accomplishments, if we can, when we get recognition, name, fame, award, mention, acknowledgement, we can pass them all to God, from whom all this came. We learn to digest the name and fame. Fourth, we can appreciate the good qualities, the talents, the glories in others, knowing, look, that is manifestation of the God, manifestation of divinity. And if we can see that, if we can see that the qualities that others have, others possess, I wish if I had, but I don't have, then we don't become jealous. Rather, we appreciate the divinity in present as qualities, as talents in others. That is also remarkable something we achieve, and surely not so easy thing, but Sri Krishna will not say always the easy thing. He would give us suggestions, give us hint how to change our attitude, to see the divinity in the entire creation. And that's what he does. And the question will be, if everything is God, why people suffer? And how can one go beyond suffering? That is the subject matter of next few verses of 7th chapter. and also the subject matter of my next talk this month, those who seek God. And until then, let us see how much we can appreciate what Sri Krishna told in these 5 verses, trying to see the best, trying to appreciate the best, the excellent things, knowing them to be nothing but of divine origin. So now we shall chant the closing chant, then we can interact. We can talk, you can share your views, love to interact. Let's chant together. Om Madhuvata Ritayate Madhuksharanti Sindhavaha Madhiirna Shantoshadhihi Madhunaktam Utoshasi Madhumat Parthivagam Rajaha Madhudvau Astuna Pita Madhumano Vanaspatir Madhumagam Astu Suryaha Madhirgavo Bhavantu Naha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sweet blow the winds, and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.